Wrestling Reality here with me, Justin LaBar, and my guest at this time, he is the most famous, most successful professional wrestler and sports entertainer in the history of the business. And after he conquered that industry, he moved on, put his stamp on Hollywood. He's got a hell of a podcast you can check out on Podcast One, and he's got a new reality show coming out on CMT July 6th. It is Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge, being joined by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good this morning. What's happening with you?
Oh, same old, but probably not as exciting of a life right now as you got going on. You got so many things going on. Broken Skull Challenge. It's like redneck CrossFit. Talk to me about this.
Man, I tell you what. The idea for this show was born off Redneck Island because that's a competition show, but you're voted off, and there's a lot of drama, and I love that show. But while we were doing that, I was thinking to myself, there's got to be another show that I can come up with that is straight-up competition. And just through all my athletic endeavors, whether it's football, baseball, track and field, and through the ranks of professional wrestling, I'm an extremely competitive person. And so I wanted to set the table for athletes to come to my ranch and compete against each other with no drama. There's drama, there's some injuries, there's some storylines, but it's all about the competition. So each week I bring 80 athletes to my place. At the end of the day, one is left standing, and that person will take on my obstacle course, which is called the Skull Buster, the next day. Now, when I designed the Skull Buster, I designed this to whoop a man's ass. You better be a badass if you think you're going to come to my ranch and beat my course. That's how the show was born, and I tell you what, we drew from the world of CrossFitters, Spartan racers, Tough Mudders, MMA, bodybuilding, some wrestling. So we had a very athletic cast, whether it was the guys or the gals. I mean, the women really kicked ass. So it was a lot of fun, and I had a great time doing this. I hope it goes over well because I'd love for this show to keep going.
Well, you said you designed the course. Like what, if you can articulate it, like walk me through the ideas that would pop in your head of what you could do to as you say, whip these guys' ass.
Well, I worked with a guy who came from the world of CrossFit to design, the course. So I didn't just go out there and think of a bunch of crazy stuff, and we strategically laid out each obstacle. There's 10 obstacles in a half-mile course. So each obstacle is kind of laid out in a fashion that's going to attack a different part of the body. And after it attacks these different parts of the body, all of a sudden these thoughts start creeping into your mind like, oh, man, this is too much. What did I get myself into? Can I do this? So when you come, everybody showed up was in premier physical condition, but you got to have a strong mind and a strong heart, along with all your physical abilities that you're going to bring to the ranch to beat to go through the challenges and survive, and then much less beat my course.
Well, it sounds pretty intense, and obviously you said you got to be in premier shape. Is there anybody? Is there one particular person you could think of from the WWE roster or in the sports entertainment world, do you think that you'd like to see attempt this? Do you think they might be able to handle it?
Boy, I tell you what, Justin, that's a hell of a damn idea right there. I would, I think, one person comes to mind just because of his background, Seth Rollins of The Shield. Yeah, very athletic guy. I think he does a little bit of parkour or CrossFitting himself. So his skills and his size and strength would lend itself because it's not all about just agility or someone who's a parkour athlete. There's going to be some head-to-head combat with other human beings, and that's what makes the show unlike anything else on television, any other competition show. So Seth Rollins might be able to do pretty well, but you know what? A season with the WWE superstars on that thing would be highly entertaining.
Oh, hell yeah. And Seth Rollins is a great choice. The guy that was in my mind when I was asking you was actually Cesaro. I'm thinking about his Olympic strength that he has. I love watching him.
Well, you know what? You're right. I think Cesaro, man, if he's going to have the wind, it's a half-mile course. Man, that dude's a badass. He is a physical specimen. So, yeah, to your point, yes, he would be great as well.
Steve, let's talk a little wrestling if we could while I got you. I can't believe it. It was just a few days ago, 18-year anniversary of the famous Austin 316 speech. Does it feel like it's been 18 years? And I guess a little thanks has always got to go to Jake Roberts for the fact that you were kind of cutting the promo post-match on him, and religion was such a big part of his deal at the time. I guess a little thanks has always got to go to him, or else Austin 316 may have never been born, so to speak.
Well, first of all, no, I can't believe it's been 18 years, but I don't sit there and hang on or live in the past, but I had so many people send tweets to my Twitter account, Steve Austin BSR, reminding me that it was the 18th anniversary. So it was a long time ago, but I remember that like it was yesterday. And anytime I've ever talked about the birth of Austin 316, I've always given one of my favorites of all time, Jake the Snake Roberts, credit for that. And, had it not been for Michael P.S. Hayes telling me about the promo when I stepped out of the ambulance, that would have never happened either because I didn't know. So it was just one thing after another that led me to, Milwaukee, to the Mecca, getting kicked in the mouth by Mark Merrow, another thing that, set the whole table for me, and going back to the Garden when the Click hugged, and because Triple H was going to be the guy that won that event.
Absolutely.
But, he had to get the screws put to him. So when you look at all the things that had to line up for me to win that event, to cut that promo, it was just almost like it was pre-planned.
It does, and and another thing I always looked at that I think kind of almost pre-planned, and obviously it was a terrible incident when it happened, but looking now back in history, the adversity you face when the neck injury at SummerSlam '97, I always look at that. It's almost like the absence made the heart grow fonder with the audience because you were not able to perform for 3 months or so, which is still phenomenal on its own. But 3 months went by, and it's almost like it fueled the flames even more, which then sent you on a direct course to WrestleMania. I've always thought that was something too. That adversity really helped the entire run as well.
Man, it was, and I think it was just a combination of everything. And again, man, I was sitting there talking to Christopher Daniels on a podcast yesterday, and had a great talk with him, and we were talking about getting over. But I was telling him specifically about all the things that had to happen for me to finally really get over, and it was almost like I was an overnight success that was 8 years in the making. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Steve, one of the things we all remember, and I want to see if I can get maybe a good story or a good moment out of you. We all remember, of course, driving the Zambonis, the beer trucks, the ATVs, the monster trucks. What kind of? Do you have a funny story? Was there any kind of crazy, because obviously it's not something you do on a daily basis. Did you get any crash course training, or how did all that stuff go down with you?
No, it's funny because I would show up, and man, all of a sudden, hey, do you know how to drive a monster truck? You're going to crush the Rock's car today. Hey man, you know how to drive a cement truck, and when I did the cement truck, that was live, and there's levers in there to fold down all those little things where the cement came out to go into the Corvette. So I had to hit the mark and do all the little gimmicks all in order to pull that off, and of course I did it with perfection. But my claim is I can drive anything on wheels, and I could probably fly an airplane after one day of training. But so I've always had that ability. Now I can't work on a car, but I can drive anything on wheels. So there were just so many great instances when stuff like that happened. I always look forward to it, and it was stuff that really. And the Zamboni thing. I remember the guy showing me how to drive a Zamboni. I wanted to take care of the Zamboni because that's how the guy made his livelihood, keeping that ice slick.
Sure.
Of course, Vince pulled me aside. He goes, "Hey man, give that Zamboni hell when you go out there." So I said, "Oh, that's all you had to say." And I ran over that light, and we hauled ass to the ring, and I got on top of that thing and jumped off and clotheslined him. So I always had a blast, and I love to drive anyway. But anytime you show me how to do something, we got to go live TV, I'm your guy.
Having a fun conversation here with Stone Cold Steve Austin. CMT on July 6th, the brand new Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge competition series taking place on the Broken Skull Ranch. Steve, one of the best qualities you had back in the wrestling in your days of wrestling was your ability to tell story. You just, and that's what it's all about, the art of sports entertainment, telling the story. Talk to me about, I don't know how much you get to see young wrestlers today, on the independent circuit or coming up, but from my experience, it seems like a lot of guys love to plan matches to the T. They love to really try to think every spot they want to do. But then there's another sense, maybe more of an old school sense of the old school kind of work mentality of you just kind of go out there and feel it out. Where are you in that argument, so to speak, of building a match and building a story?
Well, man, you couldn't hit the nail more on the head talking about telling stories. And I just recently watched the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Did you see it?
I did not. It's actually on my record list to watch.
Okay, and man, I tell you what, that was a bunch of guys with a bunch of pre-planned high spots. And when I say that, I mean that with all due respect to those guys
Sure.
out there working in that ring. They were trying to get noticed and work their ass off of that crowd. And so I give them nothing but props. But my point is, you're trying to tell a story, and it's not about the high spots, the high spots and the bumps. Because it's just turned into, hey, we're going to do a bunch of stuff, and you're going to watch us do it. And, it's about the story. So I don't know if it'll ever go back to the days of old, But at the end of the day, you do something to elicit a response. Based on the response, you proceed accordingly. Right now, it's just kind of rapid-fire machine gun style, and you don't feel it. It's kind of like I don't know. It's great to listen to music, but when you feel music like Stevie Ray Vaughan played it, you appreciate it more and it resonates with you. The same with the wrestling match. You can watch all that stuff and it can blow your mind, but you really want to feel that. You want to be able to feel the damn wrestling match is my point. But I wish guys would slow down a little bit. But maybe those are the days of old.
Absolutely. Steve, one final point before we let you go. Again, just going with your expertise. You've had a lot of success in all your endeavors. WWE Network, is the new hot thing this past year for WWE. Have you got to experience that network? And in my mind, it obviously changes the business. Now pay-per-views going to DVDs and documentaries. Now that stuff almost seems like it diminishes and it goes straight to the network. Have you got to experience the network, and do you think this is going to be a big game changer from the financial standpoint of how guys maybe structure their business, so to speak?
Well, it's obviously going to be a big financial changer because, you're not getting all those buy rates. So, I've had a brief experience with the WWE Network. I signed up for it because I'm not a real gadget guy. I do have an iPad. I've had it for damn near 2 years, but I hardly ever use it. So when I put the app on there, the WWE Network, when I typed in certain matches, they didn't have a certain catalog of stuff from NWA or WCW. So I've been more YouTubing stuff, but I think I need a little bit more original content. I need to get on there to familiarize myself with it more. I watch a lot of the old, what I have watched on there is old stuff from the Garden. That's been one of the things that I've enjoyed there, and some of the stuff from World Class. So it's going to be, I think it was smart to come out with the network. I think it's really going to catch more in the next 2 to 3 years, and that's when it's going to pay off.
Well, Steve, good stuff, man. Congratulations. Good luck with your newest project on CMT, debuting July 6th, the Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge. And my ass will never be able to compete in one of those challenges, but I'll certainly come to the ranch and pop a beer open with you. But good luck to you and everybody that's taking part in it.
Hey, you got an open invite to come to the ranch. I hope you enjoy the Broken Skull Challenge. And once again, to the Ring of Honor guys, I just mean slow down a little bit. You have all of my respect in the world. I don't want to come off as like I'm bashing them, but slow down and let everything register and sell.
Absolutely, and good advice from one of the best. Steve, thanks again, and have a good day, man. We'll talk to you again.
Hey, thanks, Justin.